Kadosh, Boker Or, Shavua Tov, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf 67A1. Do you remember we were talking about the entire concept of Shinui Hashem, when you're changing the name of the object? So we spoke about that if you had a beam and now it became a gag, which is a roof. So we learned over there on the marish, which was basically the beam which you stole and then you built a big palace, that you only take the money. Why do you take the money? Because it's called takanat shavim. We want to do a takana, an institution, to save you, right, in order to return the things. So it says the the reason is because of takanat shavim. But if not, then you do have to give it back to its master the way that it is. So this is how we're starting today's daf on the top, the first line. Amar Rav Yosef, answers Rav Yosef, marish shemo alav. It's still called marish. Meaning we thought that by Shinui Hashem, you acquire something. Shinui Hashem means that you change the name. That beforehand it was called a beam and now it's called a roof. He says, no, it's still called a marish. He says, because salot abayit elu amlatetin. He says the miskeret of the wood, which is basically the ones that go around the windows, those are called melatetin. But the ubim are the merishot. The korot agdolot in the tiklat abayit are called the merishot, the marish. Okay? Another answer, Rabbi Zera says, Shinui hachozer lebriato beshinui Hashem lo aveshinui. Says really be'emet, when you're talking about shinui, which is chozer lebriuto, which goes back to its original form beshinui Hashem, it's not considered a shinui. So says the Gemara, what does that mean exactly? That we're talking about a shinui that goes back to its original form? Meaning like this. What is a shinui? I took something and I made a change. But that change is irreversible. Right? That means shineti et zeh. I did a shinui, but I cannot come and change it back.
A leather
a leather that I made it into, let's say, a belt or something that, how are you going to put it back to its original form? But he says, when you come and you take something, for example, let's say the beams, I put it into the wall. I can take it back again. I come, I take down the thing, and here's the full beam. Everything's back. You understand? So if there's something which could go back to its reversible status quo, that's not called a shinui. That's what the Gemara says. So says the Gemara, v'shinui Hashem miya v'shinui. He says what? Shinui Hashem that it's not irreversible. That is considered a shinui. Varet tzinor. What about a tzinor? A tzinor is basically a pipe which takes water, transports water to a mikveh. The meikara at the beginning, Ketzitsta, it was called a piece of wood. Vehashta, and now that you came, and it's called a tzinor. Meaning before it was a piece of wood, and you made like a pipe out of it. Vetanya, now we learned in the Braita, tzinor shechakakol vasof kibao. If you right now came and you put it into the wall, and then you came and you fixed it into the ground, poselet mikveh, because it's a kli. You cannot have a kli. Yeah? Kibao vasof chakakol. If you fixed it, and then afterwards you were a chakak it, and no poselet mikveh. It's not going to be poselet mikveh. Now, if you're going to tell me that Shinui Hashem is considered something which is Shinui Hashem, you changed it, that's it. It should also be pasul. Why? Because after it was nechkak, it already changed its name to be called Tzinor. So if it changed its name to become called now a Tzinor, it's something new. So if it's not anymore chatichat etz that we just put it together, it's a Tzinor. So therefore you can't just, it's talush. And therefore it's posel the mikveh. It should completely disqualify the mikveh. Answers the Gemara, Shane Sheiva in the Rabbanan. He says it's a little bit different because it's the Rabbanan. Meaning this entire concept of Maim Shuvim. Maim Shuvim. Right? Maim Shuvim. What is Maim Shuvim? Maim Shuvim means water which is drawn forth. Remember, mikveh cannot have water which is drawn forth. So therefore, if you have water which is going to be drawn forth, that's going to be posel. Okay, so shane sheiva, that is going to be considered the Rabbanan. Ihachi, if so, afilu derei shanami. So he says, even in the first case, then it should be the same thing. Right? What does that mean? Right? Even in the first case, when you're going to be chokek and then afterwards tovea, it shouldn't become pasul because of the tzino. So answers the Gemara, hatam over there, ika torat kli alav betalush. There you have Torat Kli when it's going to be Talush. Hacha over here, and Torat Kli alav betalush. You do not have a Torat Kli when it's going to be Talush. Okay, which means that basically that there's going to be a concept of keli. Keli means, right, when you have a concept of a keli, of a utensil, he comes and he says it has turat kli alav, right? But here it does not have turat kli alav. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, meitve. Okay, we ask the question: Haganav ve'agazlan ve'anas hekdeshen hekdesh. When you have a ganav, gazlan, or an anas, the hekdesh is considered hekdesh. Utrumatan truma, and the truma is considered truma. Umasrotan maaser, and the maaser, right? The maaser is maaser, which means a person cannot come and be magdish or be torem or be maaser or something that's not his. Correct? Can I come and consecrate your hat? Obviously, it's not mine. Can I give maaser from your property? It's not mine. How am I going to do something if it's not mine? So the Gemara is going to ask, when you have a ganav, gazan, or an as, their hekdesh is hekdesh, truma is truma, masot or maser. Now, 1 second, you cannot do that.
I think I'm allowed to take my stuff and use it for truma for you.
Yes, that's something different. But you cannot come and use my stuff for truma for me. That means for you to do truma for me, it has to be mine. It has to be yours. It cannot be mine. It has to be yours in order. So the question is, when you have a ganav, gazan, and an as, if we just said that it is good, it means that they actually acquired it. Because if not, how does it work? A guy comes and steals your hat, and he gives him a aser from your hat. That means the hat is his. He cannot give him a aser if it's not his. So Amri, we said over there, hatam, ika shinui Hashem, the meikara, there is shinui Hashem, the meikara is at the beginning, it's called tivla. The hashta, and now it's called truma. Hekdesh meikara is called hekdesh from the beginning. Chulin, the hashta hekdesh, and now it's called hekdesh. Meaning, just like over there, that means there's going to be a shinui of Hashem from the beginning. From the beginning, it was called tevel, and now it's called truma or hekdesh, right? In the beginning, it was called chulin, and now it's called hekdesh, which means that you do see from here that really, be'emet, there is a shinui Hashem, because the shinui Hashem, the shinui of changing it from chulin to hekdesh, or from tevel to truma, that shinui Hashem in itself is considered, right, a good shinui. So Amar Rav Chastam Rabbi Yochanan says Rav Chastam Rabbi Yochanan, right? Rabbi Yonatan, sorry. Minay l'shinui shu koneh. How do we know shinui is koneh? So he says, Shenemar says a pasuk v'shivet ha'gzela. Matomo, what does it mean v'shivet ha'gzela? Right? If it tells you you have to give back that which you stole, makes sense. So why does it say asher gazal? Give v'shivet ha'gzela means return that which you stole. Asher gazal, that which you stole. What does that mean? If it tells you return the stealing object, why does it have to say that which you stole? You already said it. Asher gazal, why does it say it? It says the Gemara, you know why? Only if it's in the same status quo, you have to give it back. If it changes form, so you don't have to give back, you give back money. Okay, that's what the Gemara is learning from the fact that the pasuk used the extra superfluous words, asher gazal. So says the Gemara, hay asher gazal, mimbay lemiyute, gezel aviv. She'eno mosif chomesh al gezel aviv. I said, 1 second. I thought that I needed a Asher Gazal for something else. You know what I needed it for? If you steal from your father, and then you swore falsely about it, do you have to pay the 1/5 or not? Remember, when a person steals, he has to pay back double. Let's say he stole, and then what happened after stealing was he comes and he swears falsely that he doesn't have it. So he said that he has to pay back 1/5, and he has to bring a korban, a sham, because he swore falsely. You remember? So the question is, what about if it's from his father? So it says the Gemara, right? He says like this. He says, like this. He says, Hayasher Gazal, we needed it for Shalom Gazal Aviv. In Ken, if so, Nichtov Rachmana Veshivit Gezelo. It should have just said Veshivit Gezelo. Return that which you stole. Why does it say Hayasher Gazal? Right? Why do we have to say it? Shema Min Tarte. We're learning two different things. Number one, that you don't have to pay back the 5th to your father when you steal. And number two, only if it's the exact same way that it was stolen. Here it says over here that you have to pay back the Kerem V'chomesh, the principal in the Chomesh. He comes and he says, but it does not go on the father. Doesn't actually explain why, but I don't know. That's just the halacha. That means if you steal from your father and you do this, you don't have to pay back. It doesn't actually explain why though. Okay? Fine. It says the Gemara. Some people say, Amar Rav Chastam Rabbi Yonatan, says Rav Chastam named Rabbi Yonatan, Minayin l'shinui she'eno koneh. How do we know shinui does not koneh? Shneimar v'shivit ha'gzela mikol makom. When it says v'shivit ha'gzela, it means you always have to give it back. Mikol makom, in any case. So it means you always have to give back that which you stole. So says the Gemara, remember, Ika de Amre is a different version. So if it's a different version, now we're flipping it. How do we know Shinui is not Koneh? So says the Gemara, V'aktiva Shegazal, it says the Shegazal. And so the Gemara, no. How mi baile al gizelo shalom mosif chomesh ve'mosif chomesh al gizel aviv. Says that we learned that you're only going to come and you're going to add on a fifth for the gizel aviv. So Amar Ula says, Minay li yush eno koneh. How do we know the yush is not koneh? So Shneimar b'zezer pasuk ve'vetem gazul ve'tepisech ve'tacholef. You're going to bring, right? This is talking about you're bringing a korban ba'lemum, a defected korban. So it says if you're going to bring something which is stolen, a piseach or choleh, a sick animal, or this piseach also, balmum, different blemishes. So gazul is like piseach. Ma piseach telele tekanda kalav. Just like there's no, how do you literally translate the piseach? Piseach oived, it's
lame.
Lame, that's the word. Right? So he says over here like this. He says, just like the lame animal, there's no takana. Meaning at the end of the day, it's a balmum which is kavua. It's not like you could fix it. It's not like a temporary fix that you could come and fix it. Right? So 67b. Af gazul, so to hear gazul, telele takanta, there's no takana. Lo shna lifnei yush, lo shna achari yush. It doesn't matter before or after yush. Rava comes and he says, mehacha, I have another pasuk. Meaning, you wanted to come and say that there's a difference. That means there's no difference between before and after yush. It's all the same. I'm going to bring you another pasuk to show you that it's all the same. And his yush is not koneh. Rava amar mehacha. Rava says from here. It says, imola korbano velo gazul. Meaning that you're going to bring a korban, but not that something that's stolen. So, Emat, when is this? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now, lifnei yush, before yush, pshita, then obviously, lama likra, why do we need a pasuk? Elalav, but rather we're talking about after yush. Shmamina yush lo kaunesh shmamina. So we learn from here that yush is not going to require it, shmamina. Okay, fine. So basically, we have two different places where how we see the yush. Remember, yush means giving up hope. You do not acquire something just because somebody gave up hope.
But we learned before that you need...
One second. You need the yush plus something else.
Yeah.
That's something else. Here we're talking about yush on its own. Okay? So says the Gemara, Rava himself is the one that says that if you steal a korban of your friend, right, after it was already mukdash, and therefore it's mashma, the yush is not koneh. So how could he come and he say that yush is not koneh? What are you talking about? From there we learn, right? We're talking about that you actually stole it after it was already a korban. So if you want, you could answer that really behemet, Rava retracted, right? What does that mean he retracted? Which means that we're talking about in a case where he stole the korban, and he's saying it kipshuto, that he stole the korban and then he made it hegdesh, meaning afterwards. Okay, or if you could answer, Rav Papa Amrada. One of them was Rav Papa that said it. It wasn't really Rava, it was really Rav Papa, right? Which was his Talmid, and therefore he made it a mistake that Ki'ilu he said it in the name of his rabbi. But really, it wasn't his rabbi. Sometimes it happens, right? You're a Talmid, and you say, this is what my Rebbe hold. It really was a mistake. You know, he didn't actually hold that, but that's what you thought. Okay, fine. 2 dots. Umidat tashumei arba'a v'chamisha. We're talking about that arba'a v'chamisha is only going to be by a shor v'seh. So it says Gemara v'amai, why? Nelav shor mishabat. Why don't we learn a gzera shava shor from Shabbat? Ma lehalan, just like over there, chayav v'ov k'etzaben, it's all the same. Meaning the same halachot apply to a shor, chamor, and to every other animal. So to here should be the chayav v'ov also. Meaning, even though the Torah specifically said that you only pay 4 or 5 times for a shor v'seh, for an ox and a sheep, learn a gzera shava that it applies to everything. Any animal, you stole an animal, you slaughtered it. I don't care what it is. It could be a deer, it could be a cow, it could be, I don't care, right? You should pay 4 or 5 times. Rava says, the pasuk says, shor v'seh, shne pe'amim. Why does it say twice shor v'seh? So he says, shor v'seh in, the fact that I mentioned it twice, it's only shor v'seh. It's nothing else. So Amri, so they said, are you going to tell me that bemet it's actually going to be extra? If you're going to tell me the shor v'seh of the seifa is going to be extra, then that the Torah is going to write ki gnov ish shor oseh utvacho mecharo chamisha bakar yishlem tachat tachtav arbatzon tachtav. If the Torah would have written like that, when it says arba v'chamisha, 4 and 5, I would have thought to say that you're going to have to pay 9 times for each one. Meaning you stole a sheep, you have to pay 9 times the amount.
You stole. How did you get there?
Because basically what happens is that since if it would have been written in the Torah, right? If it would have been written in the Torah such a fashion that basically it says, Ki ignov ish shor oseh, utvacho mecharo, chamisha bakar yeshalem tachtav, ve'arba tzon tachtav. If it would have only been written, right, without the shor v'seh, meaning, what are we trying to say? We're trying to say that since it's written twice, shor v'seh, so therefore it's only shor v'seh and not any other animal. Says the Gemara, if I would have taken out the word the second time, shor v'seh, so read the pasuk, read in the Gemara. How did the pasuk say? When you're going to steal a shor v'seh, that's the first time, right? And you're going to slaughter it or you're going to sell it, you're going to pay 5 times under it and 4 sheep under it.
I see it.
So, but you took out the second shor v'seh. Meaning we're saying that you're obligated to write the twice shor v'seh, oxen, donk, and sheep. Why? Because if you wouldn't have written it down, I would have thought that it's really 9 times for any animal that you steal. Again, shor v'seh, but you have to pay back 9 times. Okay? So v'chitem, and if you're going to tell me it's written tachtav, tachtav means instead of it. Instead of it means that in chat, so he says, no, but 1 tachtav is extra. So we need it for another drasha. The Tanya is we learned in a Braita. Yachol ganav shor shaveh maneh yishlem tachtav nigidin. Imagine right now you steal a shor that's worth 100 zuz. Are you going to pay now a shor which is like basically like a half dead? Tamurumar tachtav. Tachtav means that why does it say twice tachtav? To teach you that you have to actually pay just like the shor that you stole. You stole a fat big shor, you have to pay a big fat shor. If you went and you stole a skinny shor, it's a skinny one. Ela, but rather, shor v'seh dereisha miyutar. The shor v'seh of the reisha is going to be extra. Tenichtov rachmana that the Torah should have written ki ignov ish utvacho mechalo chamisha bakay yishalom tachat hashor ve'arba tzon tachat haseh. Ikatav rachmana. If the Torah would have written havamina, I would have thought to say ad ganiv trei v'tavach lehu, until you're going to actually come and steal the 2 behemot and do shchita to them. Utvacho, when it says utvacho, ktiv lechad, it's written to one of them. Right? Ve'ema, so said the Gemara. So why don't you just say adgaran tarvayu mizabelu? I would have thought to say maybe you have to steal both, a shor and a seh. The gan of tarvayu, and then you sell them both. So the Gemara says o mecharo. It's or. It's not and. It's or. One or the other. So says the Gemara, fine. Ve'ema, why don't I just say then havamina the ganiv tre? You have to sell both, but then one of them you have to slaughter, and one of them you have to sell. So answers the Gemara o mecharo ktiv. It's or one or the other. So it's not both. Vakati says the Gemara, but still, havamina ad ganim tar. Maybe you still have to steal both, and you're going to slaughter one and leave the other one over, or you sold one and leave one over. So says the Gemara, you're right. Elashor the seifa v'seh the reisha miotem. The shor at the end and the seh at the beginning is extra, because the Torah could have written ki ignov ish shor utvacho mecharo chamisha bakar yishalem tachto ve'arba tzon tachat haseh. So shor the seifa v'seh the reisha. I mean, why do I need it? Shemamina to teach you shor v'seh in only a shor v'seh and nothing else. And that's how we finish actually by saying that you only need, right? That means basically it's only a shor v'seh. That means you never have to pay back 4 and 5 unless it's a shor v'seh. Any other type of an animal, it's not 4 and 5 times. You could steal a dog. You could, doesn't matter what you're doing. It's only going to be 4 and 5 times for a shor v'seh. Fine, 2 dots. Did
you already do Ela?
2 dots on the bottom of Zayin Amud Bet, 67b, 2 dots. Ena gonev achar haganav meshalem tashlum kefel. That gonev achar haganav is not going to pay tashlum kefel. Amar Rav. Rav says, Lushana, what are we dealing with? Ela lifnei yush, meaning before yush, we're talking about that the gonev achar haganav is going to be patur from paying kefel. Remember, kefel is double the amount. So if you stole from another thief, so you're a thief after thief, you don't pay kefil. When is that? Before yush. But if it's after yush, the first ganav is now the owner. Kanal ganav adishon. And therefore the ganav shani does pay kefil to the ganav adishon. Meaning one more time, somebody stole from you. Thief number 1 steals from him. Thief number 2 steals from thief number 1. What goes around comes around. Yeah, so thief number 2 steals from thief number 1. Says the Gemara, Hagonev achar ganav, the one, the stealer number 2, does not have to pay kefil. Says the Gemara, when does he not have to pay kefil?
Only if I didn't
Only
give
if
up.
he didn't give up. Because
that means
it's still not mine.
his.
It's really his. The original owner. So therefore, but if he does give up completely, so now I'm the new owner because I'm the first thief. So now that the second thief steals from me, he does it to be careful.
I
To me.
think it goes unsaid that there is going to be subrogation to the owner.
One second. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshat says, Amina, I would have said, Kinai Mishachi Rav Malu. I would have said when he was half asleep, he said such a thing. The Tanya was learned in a Braita. Amar Rav says, what does the Torah say? Why does the Torah say if you slaughter or sell, you have to pay 4 or 5 times? Because he went so deep into the sin. So that's why he has to do it, which means Mamash, not only did he steal, he slaughtered it and he sold it. Eimat, I would say, if this is going to be before Yush, Nika Nishtaret, are we going to say now that this is going to be Nishtaresh? Ella, but rather Lachad Yush. We're talking about after Yush. The Yisal Kadai.
68A, we're in 68.
68A, yes. And if we're talking about now, Yush is Koneh, why do you have to pay? Bava Kamma Daf. You remember we asked this question. The question was, if you acquire the animal right now, why do you have to pay back 4 or 5 times? It doesn't make sense. The second that you acquire the animal, it's your animal. So if it's your animal, why do you have to pay back 4 or 5 times? That's the question, right? You only have to pay back 4 or 5 times if it's not yours. But once you took it and if you already acquired it, you don't have to pay back 4 or 5 times. And that's the question. So answers the Gemara, we're going to say like Rabbi, since he repeated the sin, and therefore once he was going to come and he was going to repeat the sin, Hachanami, that's why he still has to pay back the 4 or 5 times. Says the Gemara, the same thing here. The Yikar Kavanah is that since you repeated the sin, you have to actually come and you're going to have to actually come and you're going to have to pay back the double also as well. Meaning not only just the 4 or 5 times you should pay back because you were mitchazek in the sin, you have like a chazakav doing a sin. So to you should pay back the 4 or 5 because you were mitchazek in the sin. Okay? We'll continue with Zat Hashem on